some will say that the transition from the People's National Party to the Jamaica Labour Party when you took office was one of the smoothest transition they've seen over the years. And the reason why we get that feelings in the diaspora, which you spoke about in the last segment, is that political tribalism is nowhere close to where it used to be 30, 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago. When you took office, sir, as Prime Minister, there were quite a few things that were put in place for the country. Highway 2000 was up. The airports are being worked on, new bus depots, and everything just continued and flowed.
Well, these were important things. I mean, the expansion of the airport, for example, was a very, very important project. It means a lot to us, so who would want to disturb that? But we did more than that. We've been criticized by our own people for it. I mean, there were persons who were appointed to positions, persons with strong, open, undeniable connection to the People's National Party. And we have ambassadors, for example, persons who head statutory bodies and government companies, and we retained them. We didn't go firing people. We said, look, let's not disrupt the working of government. Let the work continue. We review the situation, we evaluate. We've made some changes because naturally that is something that we're entitled to do. But we've retained many of the persons who were there because if they're performing competently, if they are carrying out their duties and if they are working in the best interest of the country, the fact that they may be PNP appointees and PNP supporters doesn't mean that they ought to be removed. And that approach will continue. We do have challenges in terms of institutional capacity. And perhaps now would be a good time for me to make an appeal to Jamaicans in the United States and anywhere else. We need good qualified Jamaicans with experience in critical areas who would be interested in coming home and working in the public sector. There are areas, exciting new areas. We are expanding, we're exploring a new major ICT facility at Caymanas Park. We are now in the process of seeking investors, but that will open up a whole heap of opportunities for Jamaicans, create a whole range of jobs. We're looking at creating in Jamaica logistics centers because we're so strategically located in the cargo route, whether air or sea, between not just North America and South America, but in a sense between the Europe and the New World. And we feel that we have a great opportunity for goods and services to be sort of inventorized in Jamaica and then dispatched from here to other countries in this part of the hemisphere. There are significant opportunities. Air transport is an important development area for us, particularly now that it is so difficult to make international connections entering the United States. I mean, if you're entering the United States now, simply to change planes and to go on to somewhere else, you need a transit visa. We feel that's an opportunity for Jamaica. So if that is a hassle to go and get the visa and so on, maybe you can do that in Jamaica. Come here, pick up your connection here and be off to Europe, be off to Asia, as the case may be. So there are exciting opportunities, and we don't have all the skills here to develop the country. A lot of those skills are abroad. Jamaicans who have worked in large companies in areas of public transport, public finance, in manufacturing, in agriculture. And we want to encourage as many of them as possible to come back home to help us. Bring those skills and that experience that you have, because we need it.
So now that you're reaching out to the diaspora is saying that they feel disconnected from Jamaica. They feel that they've been used to send remittances home. Now that you have reached out to them, I do hope that they respond.
Well, put it this way, I mean, the remittances have been important. I mean, it's the largest. It has been certainly for the last 5-6 years, if not more, the largest source of foreign exchange flows to the country. It has declined since last year because of the recession, and you know, what do you expect? I mean, if Jamaicans over there are among the people who are losing their jobs, then you can't expect them to send home as much as they used to. But it's not so much, they may very well feel neglected. I mean, we are working on a number of things to improve that. The previous government started it, we have continued it. Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Ronald Robinson, has special responsibility for building the network of diaspora structures and institutions. We have the Diaspora Foundation, we have the board which meets frequently. What we're doing is trying to see if it's not just enough when, you know, when I visit a city for me to have a little town hall meeting with them. What we need to do is to set up the structure so that firstly they can be aware of what is happening. There must be a point, whether it is a website where they can tap into and get information, they can express their ideas, they can make suggestions. One of the things that I hope to be able to do, for example, is to build up simply a data bank that tells us these are the Jamaicans, this is where they are, these are the cities, these are the skills that they have, this is the intention that they have to return home. If somebody says, no, look, I've built up 20 years experience in managing mass transport. We have a transport problem here. Suppose he says, no, look, I'm putting my kids through college, but I'll be ready to come home in 2014. I write that down. Because come 2014, come 2013, I want to start touching bases. And now you're still on board for 2014, we want to talk to you. This is where we feel that you could help us. Can we talk, can we negotiate something so that when you come home, you can be part of this thrust to develop the country? So
those Jamaicans in the diaspora who feel disconnected, if you have one thing that you'd like to say to them, so to give them some kind of comfort, what would that be?
The one thing that I would want to leave with them is, first of all, several things. It can't be one. Never give up on Jamaica. Never abandon Jamaica. We have our problems. There may be times when you even feel that we have let you down, but believe me, you're part of a family, because we are a nation family. You're part of a family that is so strong, so powerful, has so much potential. You only need to look to see what our athletes have done. They did it in Beijing, and if anybody thought that that was just a flash in the pan, look at what they did in Berlin. We have demonstrated that we are not only as good as the best, but we are the best in the world in the things that we do well. And it's not just athletics. Look at what we've done in our music. There are so many areas, and this is why I believe that this country, despite all its difficulties, is going to be one of the greatest little countries in the world, because we are just too good at the things that we can do. We perhaps need to learn to do more things, but we certainly need to do more with the things that we know how to do. And that's why we are building a whole new promotional campaign around our sports, our athletes. We're trying to use that as a basis for building the institutions here that will expand the opportunity for more young Jamaicans to excel. And I want every Jamaican abroad to be part of that. You don't have to come back home to be part of that. I'm not saying that everybody must come back home. If they all came back home, we wouldn't know where to put them. But you can stay in Germany, you can stay in America, you can stay in the United Kingdom, and you can still be part of this development effort. Our job is to establish the structures and the programs that will enable you to do that, and that's what we want.
You know, we are very fortunate people. Jamaicans are very, very fortunate people. You spoke of our athletes. You spoke of our music. What about your son, Stephen, is a Garvey Heights? The fact that we boast Marcus Messiah Garvey, who wasn't a prime minister, who wasn't an ambassador,
and
but
one of the
yet still
Jamaicans of all time.
One of the greatest African man of all time. Yeah. The amount of support he generated around the world. When we come back, Mr. Prime Minister, I want to ask you about Marcus Garvey and his teachings and our school system. Do you think it's possible that someday we will get some of Garvey's teaching in our school system? Watching Caribbean Lifestyle TV, talking with our 8th Prime Minister, the Honorable Bruce Golding.